The camera fades in, the lights dim, and the crowd's energy buzzes in the background. A deep voice rises over the ambient noise, calm yet powerful, filled with anticipation. Welcome back to our channel, where the extraordinary becomes unforgettable. If you love witnessing the world's most jaw-dropping talent, make sure to subscribe, because today, we're diving into something beyond belief. These are not just performances, these are moments that made history. Moments that left the judges speechless, the crowd in tears, and the world in absolute shock. This is, Watch the World's Most Shocking Acts. The story begins where dreams collide with courage, the stage of Britain's Got Talent. It's here that an elderly woman named Patty Jones, then in her late 70s, walked hand in hand with her much younger dance partner. When the judges saw them, there were polite smiles, the kind that hide skepticism. Could this really be a dance act worth watching? Simon Cowell leaned back, eyebrows slightly raised, expecting something lighthearted. The music started, slow, classical, but then, the beat dropped. The woman exploded into movement, flipping, twisting, spinning, defying every limitation. The audience gasped, and the judges' eyes widened in disbelief. At 79, Patty wasn't just dancing, she was rewriting what age meant. By the end, the crowd was on its feet, roaring. Simon laughed in awe. That day, everyone learned a lesson: shocking talent has no age limit. But that was only the beginning. Across the ocean, on America's Got Talent, another act stunned the world for entirely different reasons. A young man named Cody Lee walked onto the stage with quiet confidence. His mother stood beside him, explaining that Cody was blind and autistic, but that music had given him a voice. The theater fell silent. Simon Cowell softened, watching closely. When Cody began to sing, something magical happened, the world stood still. His voice, raw and angelic, carried every ounce of emotion imaginable. The piano keys seemed to echo through eternity. Tears streamed down faces in the crowd, and even the judges couldn't hide their emotions. When the final note faded, a thunderous standing ovation erupted. Gabrielle Union hit the golden buzzer, sending golden confetti raining over Cody and his mother. That moment became one of the most viewed, most talked about acts in talent show history, not because it shocked with spectacle, but because it shocked with heart. Sometimes, shocking acts come from the most unexpected corners of creativity. On Britain's Got Talent, a magician named Mark Spellman introduced a new form of wonder. His magic wasn't about tricks, it was about emotion. He spoke softly, sharing the story of his wife, his daughter, and the struggles they faced before she was born. The audience leaned in, captivated. Then, the magic began, but it wasn't just sleight of hand, it was storytelling woven with illusion. Every choice the judges made had been predicted in a video recorded months earlier. When the final reveal played, showing his little daughter saying the exact answers, the audience gasped in pure disbelief. Ant and Dec rushed to hit the golden buzzer, sending Mark straight to the semifinals. It wasn't a typical magic act, it was a masterpiece of heart, humanity, and mystery. Then came a moment that redefined what it meant to shock an audience, the night Susan Boyle walked onto the stage. No one could have predicted what would happen next. With her humble appearance and quiet voice, Susan was underestimated before she even began. The audience chuckled, Simon looked doubtful. But the instant she sang the first line of, "I Dreamed a Dream," everything changed. The room froze, jaws dropped, and hearts opened. Her voice soared like something out of a film, powerful yet pure, and for the next few minutes the world fell silent in awe. By the end, she had earned a standing ovation that echoed across the globe. Overnight, Susan Boyle became a household name, her audition viewed hundreds of millions of times. It was the kind of shock that restores faith in dreams. Yet some acts don't just amaze, they terrify. On America's Got Talent, danger acts have often pushed the limits of what humans can endure. One such act was Damian Aditya, an escape artist from Indonesia. His performance was unlike anything the judges had seen. He was locked inside a coffin-like box, chains wrapped tightly around him, with sand pouring down rapidly, threatening to bury him alive. The tension was unbearable. Seconds felt like minutes. The audience screamed as the box collapsed and the sand covered everything. For a terrifying moment, it seemed like Damian hadn't escaped. Panic spread, and then, suddenly, he appeared behind the judges, alive and free. The theater erupted in chaos, disbelief, and relief. That's the essence of a shocking act, when your heart forgets to beat. But not all shocks come from danger or magic, sometimes, they come from sheer originality. On Britain's Got Talent, a group called Attraction performed a shadow theater act that left everyone speechless. Behind a white screen, their silhouettes told stories of love, loss, and hope, using nothing but their bodies and timing. In one act, they recreated the story of a soldier leaving his family, going to war, and ultimately returning home, all in shadow form. By the end, even Simon Cowell was visibly moved. There were no words, no props, no lights, just human expression. It was beautiful, heartbreaking, and utterly unforgettable. Meanwhile, another unforgettable moment came from the dance duo Twist and Pulse. They turned street dance into comedy, storytelling, and theater all at once. Their fast-paced humor and creative choreography made the audience roar with laughter and amazement. They took everyday sounds, alarms, phones, voices, and turned them into rhythm. It wasn't just shocking for its creativity, it showed how art can come from anything, anywhere, if the imagination is brave enough. And then, of course, there was the night Paul Potts first performed. A shy mobile phone salesman walked onto the stage, clearly nervous, clutching his dream tightly in his hands. The audience didn't expect much, but when he began to sing, Nessun Dorma, the world listened. His operatic voice soared through the theater like a storm of beauty and power. Every note carried years of struggle and hope. By the end, Simon Cowell himself was stunned. It was a defining moment for talent shows everywhere, proving that extraordinary talent can come from the most ordinary places. Another act that took shock to new heights was the Sacred Rihanna, a mysterious magician from Asia's Got Talent who later appeared on America's Got Talent. Dressed like a ghost from a horror film, she used eerie silence, flickering lights, and supernatural illusions to terrify the judges. Her doll-like movements and haunted expressions made the performance feel like a nightmare, and yet, people couldn't look away. Her magic wasn't about tricks, it was psychological, tapping into the audience's deepest fears. Some called it disturbing, others called it genius. Either way, it was unforgettable. As talent shows grew, so did the imagination of the performers. From danger acts involving knives and fire to acrobatic troops defying gravity, audiences were left constantly on edge. One of the most shocking examples came from the group Vardanyan Brothers, who performed head-balancing stunts so dangerous that even a single mistake could mean disaster. The crowd watched in silent terror as one brother balanced the other upside down, on his head, several feet in the air. No harnesses, no safety net. The act ended with thunderous applause and trembling hands, a mix of awe and fear. But shocking doesn't always mean dangerous, sometimes, it means